She stood on stages around the world, her voice soaring through packed arenas, earning her the title Queen of Funk. But behind the glittering awards and the millions of records sold, Chaka Khan carried pain that few could imagine. At 72 years old, the legendary singer has lived through tragedies that would have broken most people. Yet somehow, she continues to stand. This is her story. If you're hearing that voice in your head right now, the one singing I'm Every Woman or Ain't Nobody, then you already know who we're talking about. Chaka Khan isn't just a singer. She's a force of nature. Born as Yvette Marie Stevens on March 23, 1953, in the streets of Chicago, Illinois, she came into this world as the oldest of 5 children. Her parents, Charles Stevens and Sandra Coleman, both worked at the University of Chicago, and they raised their family in Hyde Park, a neighborhood known for its diversity and creativity. From the very beginning, music was in Chaka's blood. Her grandmother introduced her to the smooth sounds of jazz, and by the time she was just 11 years old, little Yvette had already formed her first singing group with her sister and some friends from school. They called themselves the Crystalettes, and even though they were just kids, you could already hear something special in young Yvette's voice. But Chicago in the 1960s wasn't just about music. It was a time of revolution, a time when young black people were standing up and demanding change. At 14 years old, Yvette made a decision that would shape her life forever. She joined the Black Panther Party. This wasn't some casual decision. She became close friends with Fred Hampton, the charismatic young leader of the Chicago Panthers. She attended rallies, passed out flyers, and worked in their free breakfast program, helping to feed hungry children in her community. Yvette believed deeply in the Panthers' message. She saw them telling truths that others were too afraid to speak. But then something happened that changed everything. The Panthers gave her a gun. She held that weapon in her hands and felt something shift inside her soul. Years later, she would say that every moment she had that gun, it changed her. She became physically sick with the weight of it. In 1969, at just 16 years old, Yvette made the brave decision to leave the Panthers behind. Around this same time, a Yoruba priest gave her a new name. She wasn't Yvette anymore. She was Chaka Dunaduffy Moja Hodahi Karafi. To her, the name Chaka meant warrioress. It was a feminine version of Chaka, which meant warrior. When she later married a man named Hassan Khan in 1970 at just 17 years old, the two names came together perfectly. Chaka Khan. The marriage didn't last long, but the name stuck. She was no longer the girl from Chicago. She was Chaka Khan, and she was ready to take on the world. In 1972, everything changed. Chaka was singing with various bands around Chicago, trying to make it in the music scene, when members of a funk band called Rufus heard her voice. They were blown away. Their current singer was leaving, and they needed someone with that special something. Chaka had it. They asked her to join, and she said yes. With Chaka as the lead singer, Rufus transformed from just another band into something extraordinary. Her voice was powerful, full of soul and emotion. When she sang, people didn't just listen. They felt it deep in their bones. In 1973, Rufus signed with ABC Records. Their first album didn't do much, but they didn't give up. The following year, they released their second album, Rags to Rufus, and this time, lightning struck. Stevie Wonder, one of the biggest stars in music, had written a song called Tell Me Something Good, and he gave it to Rufus to record. When Chaka's voice hit those notes, the song exploded. It became a massive hit, and suddenly, Rufus wasn't just a band anymore. They were stars. The song even won them a Grammy Award in 1975. The band's name changed to reflect their new reality. They became Rufus featuring Chaka Khan, because everyone knew who the real star was. By 1978, while still performing with Rufus, Chaka decided it was time to step out on her own. Her first solo album, simply titled Chaka, featured the song I'm Every Woman. The moment that song hit the airwaves, it became an anthem. Women everywhere connected with those powerful lyrics. Chaka wasn't just singing a song. She was making a statement about strength, independence, and power. Then came 1984, the year that would cement her place in music history forever. She released her fifth solo album, I Feel For You, with a title track written by none other than Prince himself. Prince was a huge fan of Chaka's, and when she covered his song, she made it her own. The track featured one of the most memorable rap verses in history by Mel Mel, who kept repeating Chaka, 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 Chaka Khan in a way that got stuck in everyone's head. Stevie Wonder played harmonica on it too. The song became an international sensation, making Chaka one of the first R&B artists to successfully blend rap into her music. Both Prince and Chaka won Grammy Awards for that song. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Chaka continued releasing hit after hit. Songs like Through the Fire, Ain't Nobody, and Love You All My Lifetime dominated the charts. She collaborated with Ray Charles, and their duet I'll Be Good to You became another huge success. By the time Whitney Houston covered I'm Every Woman for the Bodyguard soundtrack, Chaka's legacy was secured. Even younger generations who discovered the song through Whitney knew it was a Chaka Khan original. Over the course of her incredible career, Chaka Khan won 10 Grammy Awards and sold over 70 million records worldwide. She influenced countless artists who came after her, from Mary J. Blige to her to Jasmine Sullivan. In 2023, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, receiving the Musical Excellence Award. When she performed I'm Every Woman at the ceremony alongside Sia, it was a celebration of everything she had accomplished. But here's the truth that many people don't know. Behind all that success, behind the awards and the sold-out concerts, Chaka Khan was fighting battles that nearly destroyed her. Fame came with a price that was almost too high to pay. Being a superstar meant being away from home constantly. Chaka had 2 children, daughter Indira Malini, born in 1973, and son Damien, born in 1979. But while she was out on the road singing to thousands of fans, her children were growing up without her. The guilt ate at her soul. The loneliness was crushing. She once told Jet magazine that she thought a big part of her drug problem was about escaping from those terrible feelings of guilt and sadness. The drug started as a way to numb the pain. Cocaine, heroin, alcohol, whatever could make her forget, even for a little while, that she was missing her children's lives. In her autobiography, Chaka, Through the Fire, published in 2003, she didn't hold back. She told the truth about her years of substance abuse, about the darkness that followed her even when she was standing in the spotlight. By the early 1990s, Chaka managed to stop using hard drugs, but the battle with alcoholism continued on and off until 2005, when she finally declared herself sober. For a while, it seemed like the worst was behind her, but then tragedy struck her family in a way that no mother should ever have to experience. In September 2004, something happened that changed everything. Chaka's son Damien, who was 25 years old at the time, was at Chaka's Los Angeles home where he lived with his girlfriend and their 5-year-old daughter. A 17-year-old aspiring rapper named Christopher Bailey was staying with him. Christopher was bright, talented, and full of dreams about making it in the music industry. That night, Damien and Christopher got into an argument. Damien claimed that Christopher had been having an affair with his girlfriend. The argument got heated, and Damien grabbed an M16 assault rifle. What happened next would haunt everyone involved for years to come. The gun went off, and Christopher Bailey fell to the floor, bleeding from a gunshot wound to his face. He died shortly after at the hospital. Damien was arrested and charged with murder. For Chaka, this was the worst nightmare a mother could face. She knew Christopher. She described him as bright and talented, a young man full of life. But he was gone now, and her son was facing a murder charge. The case went to trial in 2006. Chaka sat in that courtroom and testified on her son's behalf. She told the jury that she believed the shooting was an accident. Damien took the stand too, tears streaming down his face as he admitted he never meant to kill his friend. He said the gun had gone off accidentally while he was pointing it at Christopher during their heated argument. The trial was incredibly painful for everyone. Chaka described her son as kind and gentle, someone who would never intentionally hurt anyone. She also testified that Christopher might have survived if the police had let emergency medical workers enter her home sooner. After 2.5 days of deliberation, the jury found Damien not guilty of murder, voluntary manslaughter, and involuntary manslaughter. But the story didn't end there. Christopher Bailey's parents believed that Chaka, her mother Sandra, and others had lied during the trial. They believed crucial information had been kept hidden, information that might have resulted in a conviction. In September 2006, Christopher's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Chaka, her son Damien, her mother Sandra Coleman, and Chaka's company. In the civil trial that followed, things went very differently than the criminal trial. The court found Chaka, her mother, and Damien liable for Christopher's death. They were ordered to pay over $1.3 million to Christopher's family. Chaka's mother settled her portion of the judgment for $500,000, though the family claimed that was only half of what was agreed upon. The aftermath was devastating. The location of Chaka's home had been reported in the news during the ordeal, and suddenly, she and Damien started receiving threats. One of Damien's attorneys, Milton Grimes, heard about threats to harm Damien and even threats saying Chaka could get hazed too. Chaka had to move out of her home for safety reasons. It was expensive to maintain security, and everyone around her felt she was living in a fishbowl, constantly watched and judged. Chaka struggled with the anger that people directed at both her and her son. Many people felt Damien had received special treatment because of who his mother was. The emotional toll was enormous. Chaka later said it was particularly hard because she felt terrible for Christopher and his family, but also for her son, who never meant for any of this to happen. Her faith in God became her anchor during this dark time. She needed that faith to stay strong for Damien, to not give up when everything felt hopeless. But Chaka's family struggles didn't end with the trial. Both Damien and his girlfriend became heavily involved with drugs. Before long, neither of them was in any condition to properly care for their daughter, Deja Jade Holland. In 2010, Chaka made the painful decision to petition the Los Angeles County Superior Court for permanent custody of her granddaughter, who was then 10 years old. Imagine being Chaka Khan in that moment. She had already raised 2 children while building one of the most successful careers in music history. She had battled her own demons with addiction. She had stood by her son through a murder trial and a devastating lawsuit. And now, in what should have been her time to slow down and enjoy her success, she was starting over as a mother again. In December 2011, the court granted Chaka permanent custody of Deja Jade. Her sister, Tammy McCrary, was named co-guardian. Despite everything, Chaka didn't complain. In fact, she saw it as a blessing. She told The Guardian in 2017 that there were a lot of things she had missed as a young mother because she was too busy growing up herself. Raising her granddaughter later in life felt like it was meant to be. She called Deja her best investment. This second chance at motherhood allowed Chaka to be the parent she wished she could have been the first time around. She was more present, more focused, more available. And there was something special about her connection with Deja. They shared the same birthday, March 23rd. It felt like fate had brought them together. But even as Chaka was finding her footing as a grandmother and guardian, another devastating blow was coming. In April 2016, the music world was shocked by the sudden death of Prince. He had been found unresponsive at his Paisley Park estate in Minnesota. An autopsy revealed he had died from an overdose of fentanyl, a powerful opioid painkiller. Prince and Chaka had been close friends for years. He had written I Feel For You for her, one of her biggest hits. They had toured together and collaborated on music. At one point, they had even talked about starting a record label together, along with jazz legend Miles Davis. Prince's death hit Chaka harder than most people realized. The truth was, Chaka had been battling her own prescription drug addiction. After a knee surgery a few years earlier, she had started taking pain medications. What began as treatment for physical pain became something much darker. She was dependent on the same drug that had killed Prince, fentanyl. Prince's death became the wake-up call Chaka needed. She realized that if she didn't get help immediately, she could be next. In July 2016, Chaka released a statement that shocked her fans. She was canceling all her summer concert dates and checking herself into a rehabilitation program. Her sister, Yvonne Stevens, also known as Taka Boom, was entering rehab with her. The tragic death of Prince has had us both rethinking and reevaluating our lives and priorities, Chaka said in her statement. We knew it was time to take action to save our lives. She was honest about what she was facing. She told the world she was battling an addiction to fentanyl, the same drug that had killed her dear friend. Chaka's representative explained that she had struggled with dependence on prescription pain medications and had voluntarily entered the program to get healthy and stay healthy. Chaka herself posted on Twitter, thanking everyone for their support and well wishes. She acknowledged that she was disappointing fans by missing concert dates, but she knew that her health and well-being had to come first. She knew her fans would want her to recover and be healthy rather than push through and risk her life. Going through rehab wasn't easy. It never is. But Chaka leaned on her faith to get through the darkest moments. She created a personal prayer that she said before going to bed and first thing when she woke up in the morning. Her strong faith helped her survive when the cravings and the pain of withdrawal threatened to overwhelm her. When she came out on the other side, Chaka spoke honestly about her journey. She told The Guardian in 2017 that her struggles with addiction had actually made her a better human being. She said she had no regrets and wouldn't change a thing. It's an incredible statement of strength and growth. Most people would want to erase their darkest moments, but Chaka understood that those struggles had shaped her into who she was meant to be. Today, at 72 years old, Chaka Khan continues to perform and inspire. She still tours, sharing her incredible voice with fans around the world. In 2025, she's part of the Queen's tour alongside other legendary performers like Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, and Stephanie Mills. 4 absolute icons sharing one stage, proving that age is just a number when you have that much talent and determination. Her granddaughter Deja Jade has grown into a beautiful young woman. In July 2025, Deja got married, and Chaka was there to witness the special day. But she didn't just attend as a guest. In a heartwarming moment that captured everyone's attention, Chaka served as the honorary flower girl at her granddaughter's wedding. Pictures from the ceremony showed the legendary singer walking down the aisle in a stunning white gown with golden patterns, radiating joy and love. It was a beautiful full-circle moment. This was a little girl Chaka had taken custody of when she was just 9 years old, the granddaughter she had raised through her own recovery and healing. Now here they were, celebrating Deja's wedding day together, their special bond stronger than ever. Chaka posted photos on Instagram with the caption, "A beautiful family moment we're celebrating," and congratulated the newlyweds. Looking back at Chaka Khan's life, it's almost impossible to believe everything one person has endured. She fought for civil rights as a teenager with the Black Panthers. She revolutionized music, blending funk, R&B, soul, and rap in ways that influenced generations of artists. She battled addiction not once but multiple times, fighting her way back each time. She stood by her son through the unimaginable horror of being accused of murder. She took on the responsibility of raising her granddaughter when her son couldn't. She lost one of her closest friends to the same addiction she was fighting. Any one of these tragedies could have destroyed a person. Together, they are almost unbearable to contemplate. But Chaka Khan is still here. She's still singing. She's still loving her family. She's still inspiring millions of people around the world with her strength, her talent, and her refusal to give up. That's what makes her story so heartbreaking but also so beautiful. Yes, she's lived through tragedies that would break most people. Yes, she's made mistakes and faced consequences that most of us can't imagine. But she's also shown us what true resilience looks like. She's shown us that it's possible to fall down, to struggle, to nearly lose everything, and still find the strength to stand back up. When Chaka sings I'm Every Woman, it hits differently now. She really has lived so many different lives within her one life. She's been a revolutionary, a superstar, a mother, an addict, a survivor, a grandmother, and through it all, she's remained authentically herself. She hasn't hidden her pain or pretended everything was perfect. She's been honest about her struggles, which has helped countless other people feel less alone in their own battles. The tragedy of Chaka Khan isn't just about the pain she's endured. It's also about how often the world fails to see the humanity behind the celebrity. We see the glamorous performances and the hit songs, but we forget that there's a real person behind that image, someone dealing with the same struggles and heartbreaks that affect us all. The difference is that she has to face her darkest moments under the harsh glare of public scrutiny, with everyone watching and judging. But here's the thing about Chaka Khan. She doesn't seem to care about the judgment anymore. She's lived long enough and fought hard enough to know what really matters. Family, faith, honesty, staying true to yourself, making amends for your mistakes, finding the strength to keep going when everything seems impossible. At 72, Chaka Khan has earned the right to be called a queen of funk, but she's also earned the right to be called a survivor, a warrior, and an inspiration. Her voice has moved millions, but it's her spirit, her refusal to quit, that truly makes her legendary. The tragedies she's faced are beyond heartbreaking. No one should have to bury a child friend after shooting in their own home. No one should have to watch their child struggle with addiction. No one should have to battle their own demons while trying to raise a grandchild. No one should have to lose a dear friend to the same addiction they are fighting. But Chaka Khan has faced all of this and more. And she's still here. She's still creating music. She's still showing up for her family. She's still sharing her gifts with the world. That's not just remarkable. It's miraculous. So the next time you hear Ain't Nobody or Through the Fire playing on the radio, take a moment to really listen. Hear the pain in those notes, the triumph in that voice. Remember that the woman singing isn't just a talented performer. She's a human being who has walked through fire and somehow emerged on the other side, scarred but unbroken, wounded but still fighting, heartbroken but still full of love. That's the real story of Chaka Khan. Not just the tragedies she's endured, but how she's refused to let those tragedies define her. She's defined herself through her courage, her honesty, her talent, and most importantly, her refusal to give up on herself or the people she loves. At 7-2, the tragedy of Chaka Khan is indeed heartbreaking. But the triumph of Chaka Khan, that's something worth celebrating. Because if she can survive everything she's been through and still find reasons to sing, still find reasons to love, still find reasons to keep going, then maybe we all can too. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear Chaka's message of resilience and hope. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories about the people behind the music we love. Remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Let's spread more compassion and understanding in this world. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep believing that no matter what tragedies life throws at you, you have the strength to survive and thrive. Just like the Queen of Funk herself.